listening to episode 281 of the Major Issues Podcast. In it, we talk about the latest MCU release, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. We're not even talking news, we're just talking the movie. The Major Issues Podcast starts right now. Hello, everybody out there in comic book land. My name is George Serrano, aka The Don, and if you're listening to this, you can only be here for one reason, and it's a brand new episode of the Major Issues Podcast, brought to you each and every week by ComicBookClique.com. And luckily, this week, I am not alone. Had to reach out from to a friend across the galaxy. Sir, if you could please introduce yourself.
Hello there. It is Dave, aka The Ball Pit. Partner in crime on the FAFO podcast.
Gang. We
2
are
out of 4
here
on Department of Nerds.
You feel me? I feel like we've done this dance so many times, and dance being the operative word, because we're here to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Get just soaked in spoilers, bro. Absolutely soaked in spoilers. Usually, I have a bunch of news and scuttlebutt I'd like to get through before I get to this, but I actually have way more to say about this film than probably anything in the last 6 months. So if you're down, I'd like to just get the homework out of the way, let the people know what we're talking about, and then get into
Let's fucking do it, bro.
all of this. Okay. So, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is a 2023 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics superheroes. The Guardians of the Galaxy. It's produced by Marvel Studios, distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures, and is the final installment in the Guardians of the Galaxy film trilogy. Written and directed by James Gunn, it features Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, Karen Gillian, Palm Clementieff, Vin Diesel, Bradley Cooper, Will Poulter, Sean Gunn, Chukwudi Iwuji, Linda Cardellini, Nathan Fillion, and Sylvester Stallone. In the film, the Guardians embark on a mission to protect Rocket from the High Evolutionary. Before we get into all the spoilers, some people might be listening to the beginning of this podcast having not seen the film yet, and I like to give them at least 5 minutes before they turn it off and come back when they're ready to talk about the film. So
I do have something I do want to say before we a question and then something to say before we get into the spoilers.
Sure, go ahead.
This was Nathan Fillion's second Guardians movie, correct?
Second, officially. Third, he actually filmed some stuff, or he was pictured in a scene in 2 that was deleted.
Oh, I did not know that. I knew he was in the first one, and he was the big dude that Drax took down in
with the nose
in the prison. Yeah, Groot took him down with the nose thing.
Yeah.
And then my question was that Harcourt that I saw in there?
Definitely.
Yeah, I thought that was like, damn, she looks really familiar.
You'll get many video essays about, he's still putting his wife in movies, or yada yada.
Yeah, I fucking would too.
Hey, listen.
She's good.
What's funny is when James Gunn put him in Volume 2, he put him in fake movie posters. It was obviously real movie posters in universe, right? But fictional movie posters, and he was playing Simon Williams, who Yahya Abdul Mateen, Wonder Man. That's who Yahya is going to play now. So that might have been a little bit of
gotcha. Preemptive casting on his.
And
part.
They were like, "Hey, yo, relax, bro. You can't cast everybody. Hey, yo, we're podcasting here." So, without spoilers, what did you think of this film? And would you recommend it to those who either are experiencing Marvel or comic book fatigue, or are fans of the Guardians of the Galaxy in general?
8.5 out of 10 stars. I highly recommend this movie. It had comedy, it had action, it had emotion, which I think is something that was a big key part of all the Guardians movies.
Yeah.
With the first one, we see Quill's origin story. He became who he was and was taken off of Earth the day his mother died.
Right.
And that's when he met Gamora, fell in love with Gamora, and then through that Infinity War, she dies. He has the heartbreak all over again. We go on to Endgame. He sees this other universe's Gamora, but it's not the one he fell in love with. So then we go to in Guardians 2, he lost Yondu. But through all these movies, the Guardians are coming closer together as a very tight family.
Right.
Then we get to Guardians 3, which we knew from the trailers this was going to show a lot of Rocket's backstory. So we knew just based on the snippets of him and Lila, of Rocket and Lila, we knew this was going to be emotional.
Right.
And we saw scenes in the trailer, which they fucking got me with one of these scenes. And you know what I'm talking about.
I don't actually right now.
Well, we'll talk about it when we get there.
Talk about it,
because it's kind of in the first act. But it pissed me off when I saw why this part was happening.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, the title card.
So we'll get to it. Yeah. But this has everything you want out of a Marvel movie, to include comic accurate attire.
Yes.
It 100%. Has everything. So everybody bitching that, oh, they're not sticking true to the comics. How much more accurate can you get down to the fucking clothes? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
they can't pull everything because they don't want to just rip off the comics. And it's not really ripping off because Marvel owns it all. Yeah. And I get that. But they're giving us something different with these characters. Yeah. Iron Man himself has had how many different origin stories?
Yeah, they keep rewriting it, and Punisher's the war is going to keep changing with Punisher as the older he gets, right? He can't be being on forever.
Right. Like it's the same characters, a different story, but they're only telling this story once. They're not rewriting it every single time they want to do a different story arc, because it's so much quicker to write a comic book story arc than it is to write a movie story arc.
Right.
So with that said, go see Guardians 3 if you have not seen it. It is fan-fucking-tastic. And in my, don't get me wrong, Guardians 1 set the table. It's fucking epic. Guardians 2, not as great as Guardians 1 in my opinion, but Guardians 3 is either tied or better than Guardians 1.
I think I agree with that sentiment. 1 always has a special place in my heart. So it gets possibly a quarter star more. A fifth star, a tenth of a star more. But I think when I think back at the series in general, I fell in love with the Guardians from the very first film. I just gravitated towards these characters because they were imperfect, and also because I didn't know anything about them. James Gunn had the unique opportunity to educate an entire fan base about his version of these heroes. And it's been a trilogy maintained with quality control under one vision. And this is what this looks like when it is that way. I got to double check, but I don't think maybe Spider-Man is the other film that had the same director, possibly writer throughout the trilogy. But no, it didn't because of
Iron Man had Jon Favreau, didn't he?
I don't think he did 3 though.
I thought
I gotta double check, or he didn't write 3.
I don't think he wrote 3, but I think he directed 3. And I'm pretty sure, no, because Avengers 1 was fucking Joss Whedon.
Avengers 1 and 2 of Joss Whedon.
Oh, 1 and 2. I keep forgetting about Age of Ultron.
Here's a random aside, but it has to do about the same topic. I was talking to a friend about this film, and I said, this film, the stakes and the emotion, all that stuff, to me makes Age of Ultron look teethless. Looks like
it was nothing.
Like nothing happened in that movie.
It was nothing. And what I loved about this too is we got a villain that he had the same backstory as everybody else, to include Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah.
I wanted to perfect it. Got it. But he had so much substance to him and so much emotion behind what he wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
But what if we don't cast him? He's friends with James Gunn. Imagine if we couldn't cast him because proximity, and he's worked with Gunn before, so he should never be cast again. And he played Myrn in Peacemaker.
He did. And he was good in that role too. And it was just definitely. And I know that's where we got him from because of James Gunn's wife, because of Harcourt, which I have no issues with any of that. So if that's your beef with these movies and shows and everything, dude, go touch grass. But
Go ahead.
He did such a fucking fantastic job in this role as the higher evolutionary.
Yeah.
And it was so emotional and so like there were moments where you're like, oh man, he's actually not a bad guy. He actually wants to just enhance and make things better and yada yada. And then you kind of get through to what he's doing, and you're like,
He's one of the
this
few
guy's a little bit
villains.
of a dick.
He's one of the few villains that actually triggered me, and we'll talk about it when we get there. Not even something I've experienced, but something I've seen. And also, I made a post on ComicBookClique's Facebook about this. But like in the age of like the super cool villain, he's not trying to be cool at all. He's not trying to make you like him or be slick or have a cool one-liner. He
Nope.
says a cool line in this, but it's not about that. And
He literally says from the get-go what he wants to do, and he is going to stop at nothing to do it.
yeah, 100%.
And he literally goes to the very end trying to do this one thing.
Yeah. I thought he did tremendous. I can't help but feel like this film was the like when you know your ex is going to, I don't know, the same party as you, right? So you either show up with something nice on your arm or you show up looking the best you've ever looked in your life. James Gunn and Marvel, you know, they kind of had a beef after Volume 2 and after he got fired for his tweets, you know? He gets
that's a whole nother discussion.
But I'm saying they were shopping around for other directors to do this film, Volume 3. Even though he wrote it, they were looking for other people to come in and do it. And he went and did the Suicide Squad, but promised to come back and do Guardians. And to me, this is his most unapologetically his version of the Guardians. There's a lot of things that just get to the point because he's not in it to, you know, play around. We don't got time. This is the last one, and I'm gonna show you my team. There's parts in here where Peter Quill feels smarter and feels more
mature,
in charge of the situation, mature. The series itself grows with you. There are things shown in this film that are some of the darkest, most existential moments I've ever had watching an MCU film, but also it feels earned because we started in such a place of dancing and, you know, talking trees and raccoons. And now we get to this stage, we get to Volume 3, and all the stakes are higher. Everything is more important. And check this like little stat out. The hallmark team for Marvel is the Avengers, right? We got 1, 2, and then we got the Infinity War and Endgame. It's 4 films. We've seen the Guardians in 7 or 8 films at this point. They're the team in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that we've seen the most, that we've hung out with the most. 3 Guardians films now, 2 Avengers films, a Thor film, a holiday special. I feel like I'm missing a movie.
Wait, say it again.
They're the team that we spent the most time with.
Yeah, the 3 Guardians,
2 Avengers, Endgame and Infinity War. The holiday special.
Thor 4.
Thor 4. It might be 7. I feel like
7.
I'm missing one. I feel like I'm missing one, but even 7, like that's
for a team, yes.
Yeah.
Now we've had solos appear because we've had, you know, the obvious Avengers in all those films,
but never apart in any of that stuff. A team, and so I can't help but think that everything in this hits harder because my connection to them is closer, you know. And I saw the little bit that James Gunn did with the holiday special, like again, so much heart, and it just doubles down in this. What I love the most about this is that throughout his films, you know, even with the Yondu funeral, right, of it all, he tries to end with a bit of optimism. You know, even through the muck that we deal with in the beginning of those first, I mean, Groot dies, you know, like even in the muck that we deal with in the beginning of those movies, we still end on a high because there's still highs to be had. And that's a hell of a message to have in this day of being pessimistic and being pragmatic about everything. I needed this. I needed the message that this had. And there's some surprising things that we'll get into with spoilers when it comes to deaths. There's some surprising things when it comes to how the future of this franchise holds up. But this is a damn near perfect trilogy. And the only reason why I can't just say perfect is that I want to give it some time and some space. I kind of want to ingest it all as a narrative.
Yeah.
But it's like it's up there. It's really up there. And it's not to say I didn't have my issues. I just think they're too specific to say in a non-spoiler way. So when we get to certain parts of the film, we can get to it there. But yeah, that's yeah, I'm 100% with Dave. Check it out when you get a chance. It's worth it.
100%.
I don't know about your children. Now you have a daughter. Do you think if she was a bit younger, let's say
if 10? Now I will say this, if we had been watching all the Marvel movies together,
yeah,
absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
100%. Now this is a kid that you want to introduce to Marvel. This is not the movie to do it.
Yeah. So you're going to go you're going to go rewatch, let's say you're going to go rewatch this film and someone's like, oh, take your niece. She's 6 or whatever. No,
my niece is actually 7. No fucking chance.
No, it wouldn't do it.
No chance.
This is rough, man. It's a rough.
But if it's my now 18-year-old daughter, if we're watching from Iron Man all the way to now,
yeah,
fuck yeah, let's go, kid. We're going.
Yeah. You've seen enough. You've seen enough death and despair.
You know what the deal is.
They ripped that rock right out of that guy's head. Yeah, man.
That guy done blowed himself up with a glove.
It gets cold. So if you have not seen the film, you got our recommendations already, and hopefully you got enough of our dialogue to make your decision. Hopefully you'll be back. And for those who are still here, I'm guessing you have already seen the film and are ready for us to talk about it. So let's get all up in the nitty gritty when it comes to this film. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler.
What do you think about the Marvel opening with the Guardians all in it?
Loved it, especially since this is the last Guardians movie.
Yeah.
Well, it's the last Guardians movie with the original Guardians.
Right.
I loved it. I think it was very fitting, and seeing Yondu in there, it was perfect.
Kind of showed you how far we've come,
honestly,
with this team.
Honestly, yeah.
And even though like parts 1 and 2 start off mostly with a kind of entertaining dance sequence, we do not get that at the beginning of this movie at all.
Do not.
Instead,
they immediately they go for the neck.
Yeah,
they immediately go for the neck because James Gunn knows this is his last one, and he said, "You know what? Y'all gonna fucking cry." And damn it, I cried.
You're gonna feel it.
Now I will say this. I did not cry until one specific part of the movie, and that's what really opened it up for me, and it really got me.
I have one.
Wasn't until the third act.
Similar. I had one too, and I've had conversations and people broke at different times because I think different moments mean different things depending on what you come in here with, what you bring also to the table. But our film starts off with a flashback of Baby Rocket being selected for experimentation by the High Evolutionary on Counter Earth. We then dissolve into Rocket in present day, listening to an acoustic version of Creep by Radiohead and walking through nowhere, which we saw in the holiday special. The Guardians is like their headquarters now. We see Mantis dancing, Drax, Nebula, Groot, eventually Kraglin and Cosmo. The latter two get into like a pissing contest because Cosmo's using her telepathy to kind of show Kraglin how to use his arrow. He's not really down with it yet. I thought he would have been better by now, but I guess... I mean, he's
doing better than I'd be doing.
He also
whistled down.
The guy who knew how to do it the best died and never gave him a single like tutorial or
test. Like a little instruction manual. Like just leave a little step by step. 10 bullet points.
Poor Kraglin. Rocket eventually passes Quill, who has been drowning his feelings about missing Gamora in a Galactic Four Locos, I guess, and he is not feeling it. What did you think of the team constantly referring to her as kind of like dead? Like, do you think that's just like an easier answer? Like this is an easier, yeah, Agamor's dead. She's gone.
It sucked. Like I mean, they're not wrong though.
Right.
But here's my question:
Mm-hmm.
where's the fucking TVA for this Gamora?
It's a good question.
You know what I'm saying? Like, where are they at? They're coming and rounding up fucking buddy.
Well, it goes
Gamora
back
from 2014 still running amok.
I think it goes back to possibly what they said in Loki 1, like that was something that was supposed to happen, even though it broke the rules to stop Thanos, who then yada yada,
Yeah,
divine intervention or whatever.
Yeah, but
hey, it's not to say the High Evolutionary didn't know Kang. I'm saying I think some of this stuff is connected
that's
more
a good
so
point.
than I could totally see that being something. So Nebula carries a drunk Quill to his bed, which is the moment you're speaking of.
This is the moment that pissed me off from the trailer, because like when they're carrying him, it's slow motion as fuck. They've got the music playing in the background. We don't know what's going on. It's that Since You've Been Gone song that's playing in the trailer. Yeah. And it's like, fuck, what happened to Quill? And I was convinced, I was fucking convinced that Peter Quill was gonna die.
Yeah.
And I saw that moment and I was like, that's it. He's gonna die, or he's really hurt or something. No, motherfucker is drunk.
That there's no way that scene was not for the trailer. You know, there's no way he didn't think, you know what? I'm gonna film it this way because it tells what I need to tell, but also I'm snapping for the trailer. They're just gonna have to deal with it. So Rocket says we need to do something about Quill's like unhealthy coping mechanisms, but they're like not it. Kraglin calls Cosmo a bad dog for upstaging him, which I mean that's drawing the line somewhere. And Quill has been in the same rut since Endgame. Unbeknownst to them, Aisha from Part 2, Queen of the Sovereign, has sent her creation Adam Warlock to retrieve Rocket for unknown reasons. Warlock comes into nowhere like a bat out of hell, crashing through Rocket's home, breaking Mantis's arm, pummeling Drax nearly to death, disabling Nebula, beheading Groot, and eventually causing so much damage to Rocket that he goes into cardiac arrest. What do you think of the debut of Adam Warlock?
Strong intro. I was so pumped. I was so pumped. And we'll get to why the key word is was in a little bit. But I was so excited.
Initially here, we're already seeing a level of brutality in their action sequences that I don't think they've shown before. The blood with Drax, the breaking of Mantis, like how he just snapped it. He just grabbed it and broke it in front of us. I was sitting there bugging. I'm like, who's supposed to stop this man? He's running roughshod. I love the crazy on you. Play I love that. I love that guitar riff. So as he's just flying, lock laser.
It was the perfect song for that scene.
I was like, damn, this is kind of cool,
thing about James
I don't
Gunn,
like it.
that James Gunn picks the perfect music for his scenes.
Yeah. And the thing is, I've seen now this several times for Notes, right? There's just certain moments that are shot so well to build tension. Like, if they were shot any other way, it wouldn't have maintained the same urgency. Like, the moment in this scene is where Adam is punching Drax, and at the same time, Quill's trying to save Rocket.
Right.
And Mantis is crying, and Drax is dying, and Adam Warlock is punching, and Rocket's passing out, and you're just like, what is going on? It's just so much going on at the same time. Yes. And before he can cause more of that chaos, Nebula uses her nanite arm that she got from Rocket to stab through this nearly indestructible golden menace. Adam flies away severely injured, but it's confirmed that arm was given to her by Rocket, which we could only guess was a gift because she gave him Bucky's arm. An arm for an arm, man.
Hey, as the saying goes.
As the saying has always been. An arm for an arm leaves everybody left-handed. While Rocket is recovering, and what a way to do this, right? Because there's, from the trailers, you can't tell where any of this stuff comes from, but we end up getting significant moments of Rocket's backstory through him being in this sort of coma-like state. Mm-hmm. And so we flash back to the first group of friends he ever had, We see him shoved in a cage as a baby, raccoon, post experimental surgery. He's crying. His wounds are fresh. He's still bleeding.
And let's be real, we all love how cute raccoons are. So when you see a baby raccoon and he's got tears in his eyes, oh my God, I melted butter in a bowl.
They had to inject or, surgically implant opposable thumbs on him. So he has these metal fingers. It's jacked, man.
It's a lot.
It's a lot to see. And he's crying and shivering. And his face, like I said, he's got his face injected with metal as well because they're trying to change the way his whole face is. It looks. It's like fingertips laced with alloy. Has his skull shaved because they just did something to his brain. He looks around and he sees a rabbit who is basically has mechanical spider legs surgically attached to it,
and a Hannibal Lecter mask.
Yeah, a piece of metal over its mouth and speaks through like a speaker box. That thing was terrifying.
A little bit. It reminded me of the baby head doll from Toy Story 1.
100%. 100%.
With the metal spider legs.
Yeah, and ultimately you realize that thing is horrifying but harmless. Like that's one of the parts of that film, and this is what it happens here as well. He sees an otter with mechanical hands and a seal with huge tires implanted into its side. These animals do their best to comfort the scared raccoon, and the otter wipes the blood from his skull. They all become fast friends through hardship. This is a rough scene, but it's gonna get rougher. It's gonna get way rougher, and that's what she said. Even with Warlock gone, our heroes are not out of the woods yet, as Rocket goes into shock. Using an X-ray, they determine that someone has placed a kill switch on Rocket's heart that will cause him to die if anyone tries to perform surgery on him. It seems to have been placed there by the company that performed the experiments on him, so the mission is clear. Find the place that manufactured the kill switch, which is a place called Ogle Corp. Get the password to save Rocket's life. Oh, and they have 48 hours. Quill leaves Kraglin in charge of nowhere until he gets back. We get other flashbacks that show, even in the depth of their dirty cages, the experiments in batch 89 find time to comfort each other, even creating games, laughing and smiling. Again, jacked up again.
Wholesome.
A wholesome moment, but you can still they're literally making the best of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And
which, you know what that reminds me of?
I was just gonna say, there's moments of this that tug at me because I gained brothers through my time in the military through hardship, where there were times where I remember times in basic where you would just hear people crying. You just sit in the bunk, you hear people crying, and then or even overseas, and then you guys talk about family back home. You guys talk about what you're gonna do when you guys get out, and all this kind of. I've done this now. Obviously, this is a bit more severe, but I get the camaraderie that gets built in situations like this. It really does build family. It's revealed that Aisha sent Adam Warlock to retrieve Rocket at the behest of her creator, the High Evolutionary Herbert Wyndham,
which didn't fucking know that they were created by the High Evolutionary.
And I love that he's like, I made you guys and you guys are whack now, so I'm just gonna kill you all. If you guys don't
whack.
Yeah. Thanks. But did you see? There's a comedic moment in here. He never is comedic, in my opinion, ever again. Besides this one comedic moment in this scene, and it's not even verbal. When he walks up to Aisha, his recorder puts a step stool in front of him, so he can stand on it, so he can be taller than her. And when it first happened, I laughed. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I was the only one who laughed at that scene. That was fucking hilarious
and petty, and so petty. What a petty man!
I loved it.
And yeah, he's like, you guys are flawed, and I will execute your whole race if you don't end up finding Rocket before anyone else. She apologizes and she's like, oh, it's your fault. You removed Adam from his cocoon too early. And he's like basically a kid, I guess, a child. And he comes across as childish, but he's also like fiercely loyal to the cause. Like he's down to do whatever his mom says. So Evolutionary just repeats, find Rocket before I do, or I'm going to destroy your whole race. Is this the Adam Warlock, moment that you? This is the
This
beginning.
is
Of the
when
end?
I realized I was excited for Adam Warlock, and now I am just like, what in the actual fuck is going on here? Like,
Yeah,
I get James Gunn's got to add the comedy shtick to it. I get it,
yeah.
especially with this being the Guardians, and that's part of what they are is comedy.
Hmm.
But this character did not need that. If
I
this
get that.
character was what he was in that opening intro scene for him the whole way through, this movie would have been a 9.5 out of 10 for me. It lost a whole point for that.
Okay, I think that's interesting. Um, I will say that I think it was done for several reasons. I don't necessarily like him being nerfed. It felt like a Trevor Slattery moment at points. But I will say that Adam Warlock is known for two big things. Like, there's only two things he's known for. I wouldn't even call them big. I'm just saying there's only, like, two things he's known for. Same way, like with the Titanic, right? Like, if you do a movie about the Titanic, people can expect it to sink. Adam Warlock is known for having a very, very dark, deviant part of his psyche that breaks out and is called Magus. It's a universe-ending threat. So I wonder if he was played a bit childish in this to make that turn more sinister. If and when that happens, I actually thought they wouldn't have the restraint, but to hint at it in this, and they didn't. So I'm glad that leaves it open for that. But the second thing is, I think he's meant to, if this is to continue under a different director, I think he's meant to be the Drax of the new team. He's meant to be the kind of dim, very
Now,
strong.
I'm
Uh,
not familiar with the Guardian source material. Was
mhm.
Adam Warlock a Guardian?
He might have been at some time. Warlock is one of those space people that joins like 800 teams. His big thing is that he
Gotcha.
had the soul gem in his head. So when Thanos was coming around, like that was a whole big thing. He was a big part of the Infinity Gauntlet story. He's known for the Infinity Gauntlet. And he's known for the Magus thing. Those are the two things that he's known for. So when he showed up in this, and when he got nerfed, I was just like, I don't know him. Like, I don't know another. I can't be like, why didn't you do him like this story? And not to say there aren't stories where he has more depth and stuff, but he's always been made it to be like this weird space Jesus
Yeah.
creation,
The
perfect
Keanu
kind of being.
Reeves of the MCU.
Yes, yes. So our heroes find out that Ogu Corp is the company behind most of the cybernetic prosthetics in the galaxy and the secret front that funds the High Evolutionaries experiments. As they counter the location shields, Mantis reads Peter the riot act over not attempting to reconnect with family on Earth. Peter says the only family he has is his granddad, and he's probably dead. What did you think of Mantis being like, yo, what about Earth?
I mean, I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner.
Yeah,
Hell, he was on Earth during Endgame.
yeah.
While you were there, why didn't you go look him up? I mean, they have the
How
internet.
how'd they get back? I guess they still have a spaceship on. No, that thing would have got blown to smithereens, I guess.
What do you mean?
How did the Guardians get back to space? Because they came in there on
They
a
hopped in
portal.
Rocket had his ship.
Right, okay, yeah, that's the
And they
ship
hopped in
that, yeah.
Rocket's ship and then they just upgraded along the way.
And Thor, that's when
And
Thor
Thor's
tried
yeah,
to,
but at the end of
yeah.
Endgame, they all hopped in the Guardian's ship and left.
I heard that James Gunn was glad that Taika was able to do the separation in Love and Thunder because he didn't want anything to do with Thor in this film.
Oh, I would have loved to see just a clip of it.
Yeah,
Just a clip,
yeah.
because I
I
feel
think
like, and don't get me wrong,
I think if you have a fourth Guardians and you know that you're doing it, the mood changes. But I think because he knew he only had this last one, it's like we ain't got.
yeah. It's just like, don't get me wrong, I like Taika, but Thor 4 did not do it justice. We deserved a little bit more from the Asgardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I think so as well.
We deserved a little bit more.
Once they are past the shields, the mission is to break in. Nebula enlists the help of the Ravagers,
Can
which
we
includes.
can we pause and talk
Sure.
about this fucking fleshy satellite station?
Yes, yes, we're about
This
to
thing
get
looks
there.
fucking
We're
disgusting.
about to get to the anus or whatever the thing this thing is
God,
supposed to be.
it,
But
it
first,
just it's like Space's version. You've seen Role Models, right?
yeah.
It's Space's version of the Whispering Eye.
Oh dear, her whispering.
It means vagina.
First, we have to get back to the 2014 version of Gamora. More matted hair. She's a bit more hard nosed, on the edge. She has no idea who any of them are. Could care less. She knows who Nebula is because they're sisters. Starhawk, aka Sylvester Stallone, gives the crew Ogu Corp uniforms and instructs them on how to infiltrate the facility, saying he can't help if they get caught. Mantis thanks Gamora for helping, but she's like, nah, I came here for the money. In another flashback, Rocket as test subject P13 is shown to have vast intellect and is capable of advanced mathematics and is learning how to speak. Wyndham shows his test subject the Horizon, explaining that it is counter-Earth and where the experiments will go when they are ready. P13 looks to Wyndham as a father figure, looking for his approval and seemingly terrified of his temper. He sees a rocket flying in the distance and he is in awe, says Rocket. Wyndham explains he hopes to create the perfect species and society. He tells P13 that he's a part of Batch 89, using tech to help evolve a species to its zenith. However, he's created a new batch of experiments who, when exposed to a gas he created, is forced through millions of years of evolution in seconds. The thing is, each of these creatures end up extremely violent and hostile. After watching Wyndham kill a test subject in front of him, P13 suggests some changes in Wyndham's calculations, and Wyndham seems downright shocked that he may have figured it out. Another incredibly screwed up scene. Watching Baby Rocket and High Evolutionary have a conversation was very rough because you can tell that Rocket, is trust the right word? He sees a High Evolutionary as his caretaker, you know. He's, I don't know about father figure, maybe father figure, you know, but there's a level of respect and admiration he has with the High Evolutionary, but also a fear, you know.
It's almost loyalty based, or it's fear based loyalty is what it is.
Yeah,
it's almost like when you go through basic training, you don't want to get fucked up, you don't want to get scuffed up, so guess what, I'm following the rules.
What's even more painful to me is that it resembles like almost an abusive father-son relationship.
Absolutely.
You know, where he wants his approval. Look, I did the math right, you know, and you know, Rocket, sky's blue. Do we like it? Like he's asking if he likes something, right? He's like,
yeah, so if he likes it, then he's gonna like it.
Oh, okay, yeah, we like it. You know, like if there's a sad need of approval from High Evolutionary, and he will pepper in compliments and then grab him by his head and be like, but you're still not there. You know, like you're not even close to being kind of perfect. So we still got a lot of work to do. You're still a lot more surgeries, a lot more pain, a lot more, you know, ripping you apart and sticking you back together. And when he solves this, and we'll get to his reaction when he shows him that he solved it, but when he solves this kind of changes how High Evolutionary looks at him. He's almost, Rocket in this moment is almost eclipsed old Wyndham, and he's not gonna like that. As the Guardians descend on Ogu Corp, the Whispering Eye, Quill tries again to reconnect with Gamora, but it fails as she has no intentions of being the person Quill knew. They get inside and change into their uniforms and manage to trick security, but accidentally jettison their spacesuits. The group splits up with Drax and Mantis, ensuring a safe exit for them, and Quill, Nebula, and Gamora going back for Rocket's file. When they find the Archivist, Quill tries his trademark charm, but Gamora has had enough games, so she points a gun at her and manages to retrieve the orb with Rocket's information. What do you think about the argument over what's it called, the escalation of force?
Yeah,
in this, yeah. What do you think? Whose side were you on?
They should have just fucking went for it.
Because Gamora was all about just shooting anybody who came through. And Quill's a changed man a bit. He used to shoot people in the face, I feel like, back in the day. He does in this.
He used to, but in through their time, our Gamora, kind of leveled him out. Right. But this Gamora is still very much a child of Thanos.
Yes. Yeah. And Quill's having a real hard time accepting that. Even though at every chance that she gets to prove that she's not the one that he knew she does, he still will not accept it, to the point that he gives her whole backstory, in the elevator with Nebula and that archivist. I don't know if you noticed, but the archivist is played by the woman who plays Ratcatcher 2 in the Suicide Squad. So the lady
I
with the short
thought she
hair,
looked familiar.
more friends. And we didn't talk about it, but this is the scene where you see Harcourt looking over the cameras, and at one point she just gets shot. Gamora just shoots her, just shoots her in the freaking leg. Security gets wind of the intruders and sends officers after Drax and Mantis, who fit the description. The two do their best to take out as many as possible with Drax, but Drax is badly wounded when he's shot. This is the second time I feel like they faked out Drax's death. Yep. When Nathan Fillion shoots him in the back.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, it's a wrap. And then I was like, wait a minute. But I saw a trailer. He's wearing that blue coat. So maybe there's still some time for him. Peter and Gamora continue to argue about the best way to commit this heist, with Gamora willing to kill everyone and everything that stands in her way. Peter begs for an opportunity to speak to security in hopes of changing their minds, but uses the opportunity to deactivate their suit's gravity. Groot brings in the Bowie and manages to pick them up. I like that whole scene.
Let's talk about Mantis for a second.
Sure.
She fucking ejected their suits.
Yes, she did. She tries hard. She tries,
but I'm not gonna lie. Later on in the movie, Nebula kind of goes ape shit on them, and I was there for
Nebula. You're Team Nebula.
I was Team Nebula.
Some of the points,
I was Team Nebula pretty much the whole movie, and I'll explain why. She is also the reason I had my tear up moment.
I think that while Gunn says that Rocket is a secret protagonist in this, Nebula might have hands down the best secret arc in all of this. Like in all of it. You have to add in the holiday special, all of it. But if you watch her character progression from, what is it? I'll help you destroy 1,000 planets, I think is the first thing you hear her say.
Yeah.
to Ronan.
Yep.
To her dancing with children, like night and freaking day. And it's beautiful. It's chef's kiss, because to me, I've always believed in that level of redemption. I've always believed that it is your environment and who you're around to make you feel the kind of person that you are sometimes. And if you can take that person out of there and give them the love and support that I think everyone deserves, you build better people that way.
You also got to think, though, her and Rocket had a similar backstory.
100%. And
with the abusive relationship, wanting approval from their dad and all that.
Oh yeah,
stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like she literally went through all those changes that were torture, but she wanted dad's approval, and she was always competing with Gamora to get that approval.
Also, something that I didn't remember, if maybe the Eagle or the sharper mind MCU fans will remember, and I gotta see what the sliding scale of time is in this. There's a sliver of a chance that Rocket may have spent more time with Nebula than he did with Star-Lord. Because I don't know how long they were a team for. I'm saying about 3-4 years, maybe. Were they a team for 5?
No. You also got to think.
Gamora
during the blip,
that's what I'm saying. Gamora and Nebula and Rocket, I know, had at least 5 years. I don't think Quill and
Guardians, between Guardians 1 and Guardians 2, it was like back to back. So I'd give it a year.
That's what I'm saying. So let's be charitable and give them 3, right?
Yeah.
Give the team 3.
Standalone with the blip, they had 5.
And they were the only ones of their kind.
Yeah.
I think of when she pets him, and when they're on the they're on the ship's, I guess, steps or whatever, and it's just them two having to deal with the fact that all the Guardians are gone. So yeah, they have a connection, again, a secret thread that you don't pick up on until you start seeing moments. And I think that's kind of what you're talking about with her progression. You see her react to certain moments, and you go, where does that? Of course that comes from somewhere real. Of course, you start doing the math in your head and you go, of course that's a perfect reaction. And I will say that's one of the things I loved about this. We get there in a bit now, but I love that at almost at every point in this film, Quill's like, well, we're saving Rocket. I don't care. It's an impenetrable fortress. It's covered by, I don't care. we're saving Rocket. And his, just that there's something very endearing about that laser focus to save your best friend.
Mhm.
You know, like there's something really cool about, like, because they're usually always right arguing back and forth, coming up with different plans. Maybe we should split up. No, at every point in this film, he's like, no, we're gonna go save Rocket. That's where we're going. I don't care who we have to team up with. I don't care who we have to kill. We're saving Rocket. I thought that was super cool.
No, I agree 100%.
The test subjects in batch 89 decide that because they are going to be brought into the perfect society, that they should all have names. The otter is first to want a name, and she calls herself Lila. And then the rabbit goes, Lila. I'm like, you guys are all going to break my damn heart. The rabbit says, because she's on the floor.
I'm laying on the floor, so I'm floor.
That she's floor. And they laugh, but they honor her name. They're like, all right, you're floor. And the seal, or the walrus chooses Teefs.
Not teeth. Teefs.
No, Teefs.
With an F.
Because everyone has them, but his are the most prominent.
I loved that so much.
I also think I read a little bit too much into this animal because, you know, I'm always trying to make connections and stuff. He had like a Liverpool accent. Is this like a Beatles, I Am the Walrus sort of? Cuckoo, ka-choo kind of thing. If it is, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. James Gunn with a deep cut Beatles reference in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Our raccoon hero tells his friends of his dream that one day he will build flying aircrafts and together they will fly into the forever sky. They decide to call him Rocket and remark that it's good to have friends.
Oh.
There's an awe there, but now there's about to be a rip your heart out of your chest off. Yeah, literally from here up for the rest of this, get ready to cry, everybody, because Nebula uses her tech to look through Rocket's file, and inexplicably, it includes a video of Rocket being ripped apart and put back together over and over in various experiments, and her reaction to this broke my heart. Mm-hmm. You can't even see her pupils because she just has black eyes, but they're tearing
up. Hauntingly beautiful.
Yeah, they're hauntingly beautiful, but they're tearing up, and she says, "This is worse than anything Thanos has done to me." Which and you've already seen, like, there's a literal scene of her being tortured by Thanos in Infinity War.
Or no, it was in Infinity War.
It was in Infinity War. Yeah. So you get that scene of her being tortured in Infinity War. So you get that, and she's now telling you no, like even stuff like that, like this right here is worse. It's how you set a standard in films like this. You know, the bad guy has to say, "Oh, that guy's terrifying." You know, like you need to.
Yeah.
That's how you set your scales, and we are now told, like, whatever we want to believe, you don't have to see the rest of it to know that it was absolutely heartbreaking. Mantis is there crying. Quill can't see. What did you think about this scene of them watching what he went through?
I appreciated the realistic reactions because at this point, all the Guardians together are family. I appreciated the reactions because, you know, if you find out something like this horrifying from somebody in your family and your first thought is, why didn't you tell us?
Yeah.
Drax's reaction, why wouldn't he have told us this?
Yeah.
It is spot the fuck on. It was the perfect reaction. It humanized them so much.
Right. And again, in ways that it hasn't been before, it's getting personal. Like, especially for Quill. Like I said again, like, my man is like, we going, oh, all right. Where you did this to my homie? You about to see. I was just saying, sadly, the passkey for the kill switch is not in this file, but they realize that one of the High Evolutionaries' recorders might have the data. Gamora warns against doing battle with him, but Quill is dead set on saving Rocket. Like I said again, he's just like, I don't care. And she's like, are you kidding me? He's 1,000 times stronger than you. He's like, I don't care. Using Rocket's file, he finds the High Evolutionary's coordinates and decides to venture there. Gamora yells at him for not realizing it's a trap, but the two get into an argument that ends with Gamora shoving Quill before being separated by Nebula. Two amazing moments in this scene. One, she drops a hammer with something like, what are you so afraid of inside of you that I need to be something for you? And I was like, damn, Gamora. I was like, who are you reading out here, girl? I was like, that was she put Quill on Front Street right there. Why do I have to be something for you? What are you so scared of? What are you running from? She said it a bit harsher than I would have, but you know, that definitely happened. And the other moment is when she goes to punch Quill, Nebula stops her.
Mm-hmm.
Nebula, like what?
Yeah.
Like this, you could have seen the roles being reversed in Volume 2. You could have seen Nebula get into an argument with Quill and go to punch Quill, and then Gamora's like, "Yo, chill," you
Right.
know. Matter of fact, there's a bunch of cool moments in this because I also love that she's like, "Take me back to my people, the Ravagers," and Quill's like, "Bitch, like I was a Ravager, like for like 20
That's
years."
me.
Yeah, for like 20 years. You've been doing it for like 2 months. Take me back to my people. We were your people. Like the way he gets mad in that sentence, I was like, oh yeah.
I'm with it, man.
He was like a Ravager. Like he was, you know?
Yeah, he grew up. So he was skinny enough to slide into tight places to steal stuff.
Stealing stuff, killing people, all this kind of stuff, putting all this behind him and having Gamora be like, take me back to my people. Are you kidding me? But you know, she calls him at one point like a mutilated badger or something like that. And Nebula's like, that mutilated badger, you know, gave me these upgrades for my arm, so we're gonna save its life. And then there's a look of betrayal on Gamora's face, and Gamora's like, we're family. And he goes, yeah, well, so is he. Yeah. And I was like,
fucking W Guardians.
I was 100%. I was like, you damn, let's go save Rocket. Let's go do this shit. I was so down. I was so down. She says the mission isn't hers, Gamora does, and demands she be dropped off with the Ravagers. When she's alone, she tries to contact them, but unknowingly tips off Aisha and Adam Warlock to the location of the Guardians and Rocket.
When she made that call, I was like, oh, this dumb bitch.
When she made that call, I was like, there's nobody on your side that's British. Why are you just giving your information freely? Yeah, like, oh yes, it is the Ravagers. I'm
Chip Cheerio.
I'm Ravager 1. You know, like, and she just gives up all the information. I'm like, girl, but one could argue she didn't care. She doesn't care if they get caught. She doesn't care if anyone on the ship dies. She was there to make money and go home. So, yeah. But oh yes, about to get rough again. Our space outlaws suit up in their comic book accurate suits, and while they are en route to counter Earth, Drax gives Quill a surprisingly effective pep talk in regards to Gamora. Unfortunately, that conversation gets interrupted when Rocket goes into shock again due to fluid entering his lungs. This to me was part one of two incredibly heartbreaking scenes. This one, for some reason, got me more, though. I don't know why. He suffers another flashback to when Wyndham searched him out, dragged him out of his cage, threw him in the lab, and yelled at him for being brilliant and figuring out the problem in his equation. Wyndham gives him a demonstration showing the now intelligent but docile creatures he can create using this new method, but is absolutely furious when it is his creation and not him that figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
When P13 mentions the new world, Wyndham makes it clear that him and his friends were never meant to go there. Their purpose was to be ripped apart for knowledge and to use on species that matter. Wyndham then tells him that he will have his brain removed in the morning and his friends will be incinerated. All of this, bro. All of this. The way my man Chuck Woody yells at what you have to remember is probably not anything there.
In this movie, man, Chuck an asshole.
100%. Fuck Chuck. We can say that on this podcast. But yeah, the way, how did you know? How that accusatory, like he stole the information or like he, you know, like he was hiding it from him or something, and Rocket's cowering and his innocence, like, what? I thought you wanted me to figure it out. Like, again, I'm looking for your approval, so I gave you the thing you said you wanted, and now you're like about to beat me, like a child, you know. And you've seen these situations play out sometimes in some of the most toxic families living situations, right? Oh, you think you're smart because you're in them books, you know, where a dad gets on,
think you're better than me,
all that, bro. That's where I'm getting flashbacks of, you know, fucking parents who just, and my parents were fucking godsends, but I've seen parents have this weird toxic relationship. I gave you everything, so don't think you're better than me, kind of stuff. You know, it's like you, as a parent, you would want your child to evolve past you, be smarter than you, be more capable than you. But like, I don't know, man. Can you speak to this frustration? Do you see what
No,
my man's yelling about?
Like, he's so fucking arrogant.
Yeah.
That he's trying to create the perfect creatures for society, thinking he is the standard for perfection. But when one of his creations is smarter than him, he is just so fucking arrogant that he cannot let that creature live.
I love that take, because besides what he says later on about how the new creations seemingly lack the same kind of spark of innovation that Rocket has, one could argue that the existence of Rocket, like him living, is proof that maybe the high evolutionary is obsolete, right? Because if he can do things that he can't, then he is the prime. He is the alpha. He is the perfect being.
But
what
these two both failed to realize is it's not just these one categories. You have to look at it at an overall picture, and neither one of them did that.
No. But yeah, like being like the only thing that's good about you is in your brain. I'm gonna take it out tomorrow. That's jacked up. He said, he told this kid, this child, right, that's been surgically had surgery on him, repaired, ripped apart, all that kind of stuff. He told him, it looks like you were hobbled together by children with fat fingers. That's what he tells him. As you look at the scars and the, like he asked for any of this, and I'm just like, damn, man, like just the level of hostility and that verbal abuse was a level I had not experienced in an MCU film in a while.
Yeah, it was something.
It was jacked up. And what was worse was seeing Rocket be like feel heartbroken and betrayed once he realizes that they're not going to where they're. It was his only hope. It was his only silver lining. It was the only thing that was making any of this worthwhile, was the idea that he can go with his friends to the forever sky. And then, nope, they pull that rug right out from underneath him, and it's heartbreaking.
It really was.
Peter and crew land on Counter Earth, which looks just like Earth, only with animal inhabitants, each bipedal.
So in the trailer, I'm like, where the fuck are they? This looks like Earth, but like, where the fuck are they where these aliens are?
Right. Yeah.
It made me think there was an extension of New Asgard.
Did you like the statue of evolutionary?
So ridiculous, but I love how they just basically made Earth, but this.
I like that they used that Faith No More song. It's kind of experimental. It's kind of it's meant to make you feel off balance a little bit,
right,
off center, not exactly there. And that's to speak of this entire society, right? To speak of all his experiments and stuff. So after some miscommunication with a mob in a perfect suburban neighborhood, and some help from a bat family, Peter borrows a car and goes with Nebula and Groot to meet with the High Evolutionary. There's a lot to talk about here, but first thing I want to say is I love Kaiju Groot, where he's like, "Go Kaiju, go Kaiju,
go full Kaiju."
And it doesn't look like he could actually get that big and maintain the same sturdiness. It just looks like he's making himself longer, like when you like tippy toe kind of stuff. Like,
tiny torso, but all the extensions are.
Yeah, it is. I don't know if he has the same strength, so I thought that was really, really funny. I thought like this is the Bat family being a Bat family, and Drax's insistence that a couch is made to be laid on, which he's not wrong about.
He's not. I was with it the whole time. Like, dude, if I'm on a couch, I'm laying down. We've just got our asses kicked how many times in the last 2 days? I'm gonna go fucking take a nap.
I almost died several times, sir. He orders Mantis and Drax to stay with Rocket. Gamora watches Rocket, wondering why they care about him at all, and Aisha and Warlock make their way with a Ravager pet. What do you think of that little Funko Pop thing?
It was adorable.
Yeah, I wanted to meet the little furry thing that Trevor Slattery had. It had no face, it looked like a butt. I think they'd be friends.
I'm actor.
They say that this thing is just a furred version of those weird animals that they were fighting when they were in a nowhere, when they were drinking. They were betting on these like big ass rat things or whatever like that. Supposedly is of some of the species.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. We did all that as Peter. Oh, we got to talk about the F-bomb. What'd you think?
I knew it was happening, but once I witnessed it in the actual movie, it made my heart so happy.
Yeah.
James Gunn pulled all the stops to include the first MCU F-bomb, and it was I'm more upset that Sam Jackson didn't get it because that's his trademark.
Yeah.
But it made me happy to see that they're pushing the limits.
Yeah.
And that whole scene was just so fucking great. You push the button, and then what? Open the fucking door.
That was a dad F-bomb.
It really was. It was such a dad F-bomb.
That was a dad F-bomb, which is why I was like, yeah. My dad would have said the same shit. My dad, the fuck you mean? What's up next? What have you been doing this whole time?
Oh my God.
But yeah, it's so funny. And then I love that they start driving. He's like, I never drove before. Because I always ask that question. Like with Danny Rand, got into a car. I'm like, you ain't never
Well, I thought about it. I was like, yeah, Quill knows what he's doing. And then I thought about it again. I was like, oh shit, he's been off Earth since he was 8.
10. Oh yeah, it was
8 or 10, whatever.
Right.
Bro ain't never driven a car.
One of my favorite gags is Gamora watching the car drive from the... It's hitting everything. It's fucking hitting the brakes all ridiculous. Really, really funny little sight gag there.
Oh my God.
Nebula. Oh, did we do this? Yeah. Peter drives and sees that things aren't perfect everywhere on Counter Earth. He sees a drug selling octopus and some guy getting beat up. It's funny because as soon as we get to like a place of graffiti, I'm like, are we in the hood? That's why I tell my sister, I go, are we in the hood? And it just increasingly gets more hood. And I'm like, they got a hood on Counter Earth. That's funny as hell. I didn't expect a drug deal. Like, you know, I was like, when I saw the graffiti, I was like, oh, okay, they get away with like, without doing like gangs and drugs by like this random guy getting beat with a pipe. But then you get to the drugs, like right after that. And I was like, yeah, that totally makes sense. Peter Quill should have stopped for some. We see that High Evolutionary is still experimenting, this time on children, because he has one in like a hamster wheel, and he's like, these kids can live off of 10 calories a week, and they sleep like 1 hour a day, but they still don't have, you know, the je ne sais quoi that made up Rocket. So I don't know, keep this one in the cage or whatever. Nebula is told to stay behind by security. So Quill and Groot meet with Wyndham. We flash back one last time to when Pete 1-3 was told he was going to be killed in the morning. He's thrown in his cage and with tears in his eyes confesses to them, the rest of his friends, that they aren't going to the new world. Luckily, he's been stealing pieces of tech every time he's been let out and makes a makeshift key card that can get them all out if they're still down to escape in a spaceship together. There's this moment, bro. I've seen this 2 or 3 times now, which he's like, if you guys are still down, whatever. And he looks at Lila, and Lila with tears in her eyes just nods, like does like a really soft, like, I don't know if this is gonna work, but whatever. Like whatever. I'm down. I'm 100%, like I'm down. And again, I'm there like
fucking right.
I don't know what's gonna happen, but we about to, let's do this. Let's go.
And I felt so bad for Floor because Floor had no idea what was going on.
In a way that, I
mean, I felt bad because it was like, you have no idea that you're about to fucking eat it. But at the same time, you are so out of touch that you are going out happy.
In this moment, she like is running around in circles with the idea that they're going to escape. And she's saying, oh, we're going to be together forever. Like, she's just like, she's super stoked.
She's not wrong.
They agree, and he manages to get the cages open. He and Lila embrace, but suddenly she is shot by the High Evolutionary. The shooting is one thing, right? Watching the otter, the light leave the otter's eyes.
Oh,
As she says, like, Sky
so fucking sad, bro.
was another thing.
Justice for Lila.
Having then Rocket emote the most guttural, soul-wrenching groan that I've ever heard Bradley Cooper do with this character. Just deep down in the soul pain. Again, they didn't have to do that either. But on top of that, Wyndham makes fun of him for crying. Wyndham mocks him for crying. And in that moment, I said, I don't want this motherfucker dead.
That was it for
I
me.
I need him
for me.
Gone. I need him gone. Again, you know, nothing cool about this man. Nothing I don't even want to cosplay this dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing cool about this man. And in this moment, like, I remember when this happens, I had three emotions. One, obviously sadness, because that's what they want you to experience. Two was then anger. And then three, I smiled a little bit to myself because I said, this is good writing. Because they need to want you to have that anger.
Yeah.
You have to feel how Rocket felt in that moment. And very few writers can get you there. Very few directors can get you there. You know what it reminded me of? The moment in She-Hulk when they show the sex tape. And you're like, you know what? I'm with her. I don't give a damn. You know what I'm saying? Like that, they put enough on the table to make the anger earned.
Yeah.
You know, where well, he mocks him, he calls security, he demands he gets back in his cage. But where Rocket just starts jumping on him and scratching him to death, Teef is calling him to get off, and I'm like, nah, leave him for a little bit. I was like, leave him for a little bit. He's doing something. Let him cook. Let my boy cook. And he's just ripping into his thing. And again, also expertly shot, right? Because you never see any of the strikes with the claws land. You just see clips of claws and then clips of Evolutionary's eye large and then clips of blood and skin. And you just, you know, your mind makes the rest of it up. He just keeps clawing at him until a bunch of security show up and they fire at him. No bullets hit him, so he shoots and kills the guards, but sadly Teefs and Floor were killed in the crossfire. It also sucks because when Lila was shot, Floor starts running around in circles screaming, Rocket, Teef, Floor, go now. Like, just, we gotta go. Like none of this is good.
Like,
none of this is good.
And it was like, go.
And so you have Evolutionary laughing, Floor, childlike screaming and repeating itself in a weird full panic mode. Rocket crying from his depths. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, a sensory overload of this motherfucker. I was like, this is a lot, man. This is a lot.
Yeah.
And then like they have a moment where he looks and he's like, so now what? Like, I only did this for them. And now they're gone. What am I supposed to do?
Right.
But alone and scared, P-13 steals a spacecraft and begins his new life in the vast galaxy.
Well, we can call him Rocket now.
Yeah, we can call him Rocket.
I don't like calling him by that designation.
We're moving to Rocket. We're in Rocket territory. And even just saying those scenes now, my heart feels heavy.
Dude, I'm fucking sad right now, bro.
I'm like, it was rough stuff, bro.
I'm fucking sad, bro.
Drax disobeys Peter's orders and takes an unwilling Mantis with him to save Peter. He's like, no, we're not going to go anywhere. Just get on the bike. Are you sure?
Oh, to ride all the way over there? Yes.
So they go over there. Peter gets to the High Evolutionary and High Evolutionary just has him on hold. Like literal hold.
Yeah, literally gave him one of these for like a whole 3 minutes. Like, the fuck?
So he's over it. So he's like, anyway, I see the guy who has the stuff I want.
Yeah,
so
I found the guy I need. Give me the thing.
So he goes there. The High Evolutionary refuses to give him the code and tries to explain his motives. And Quill's like, I don't care. And again, refreshing as hell because I'm of the same mindset. Like I don't need any of this, and this is after what you just showed me. I don't care what your freaking mission is. And similarly, I think he says something to Quill about like what's all the hostility. He's like, you took my best friend and you ripped him apart. You know, like Quill has our anger because he saw it all in the ball as well. Mm-hmm. I love that he was like, I don't need another, villain with mommy issues. Talk about why they need to perfect the galaxy. What'd you think about this scene?
I think it was very well done. I think it was very perfect and spoke to exactly where his head was at. And he said, you know what? I've done the fucking talking. I've done the bullshit back and forth. I'm here for the fucking code so I can save my friend. Are you going to give it to me or not? No.
Yeah, because he's not quipping. He's not quipping or calling them names or any of that shit.
Yeah, he was so serious and so firm in that moment. And it was basically, you're not going to give it to me? Okay, prepare to get fucked.
In this film, I just got goosebumps because I'm thinking about it. In this film, my man Peter Quill says, kill them all. And he says it twice. If I would have told you that before we saw the film,
I wouldn't have believed you.
Someone's telling me that Peter Quill is quoted on saying twice, kill them all.
I wouldn't have believed it.
Oh my gosh. So then he explains that like Rocket was a mistake. I'm not giving you the code. I need to kill him too. He realizes that Rocket's on the Bowie, so he sends Warpig after him without Quill knowing.
Which, by the way, let's talk about that fucking gate scene, the gate guards. Bebop and fucking Rocksteady.
That's what I thought instantly, to be honest. I wanted one of them to go, Mama!
Stop it.
Oh, babies! They're babies! I really wanted that scene, bro. But they are also nightmare fuel. I
half expected Toga and Razor to come out.
They're nightmare fuel. Like their designs and all that kind of stuff, completely. Oh my gosh,
give you the heebie-jeebies.
Heebie-jeebies. So they send Warpig out, who's voiced by Judy Greer, and they send Warpig after Rocket. Quill's like, "Oh, your perfect society? This society is garbage." And he's like, "Yeah, I know. I'm about to blow the whole thing up." You're right. You're right.
So nonchalant.
Open and shut case, bro. You convinced me.
No, I agree.
Yeah,
time to pull the pin on this bad boy.
Let's blow this popsicle stand. I'm sitting here like,
and they legit blew it up and killed all those people.
Again, just showing how nonchalant he is about this mass murder experimentation.
How villainous he is.
He gives no damns.
Not a single fuck to be had.
Warpig manages to get into the Bowie and tries to leave with Rocket, but Gamora stops him. The two do battle until Adam Warlock arrives, and Warpig tries to argue with him, and Adam Warlock just goes, snaps his neck, beheads him, and throws it under the ground.
Yeah, basically, like, we're on the same side. He's like, yeah, but I got to do it first.
Yeah. Just beheads him. High Evolutionary's headquarters is shown to be a spacecraft, and he just leaves Counter Earth.
Bruh.
His perfect society.
Can we talk about how Adam Warlock is just carrying around this decapitated pig head with a metal spine hanging out?
Yes, and how he's befriended that little dog thing.
Yeah, now he's got a pet and a fucking pig head, and he's just cruising around.
Chilling. So
the pyramid's a fucking spaceship.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm leaving now. Thanks to everybody. and he begins the self-destruction process. And we have already seen not only creatures here, but full families and neighborhoods and societies. And we are now welcome to hear all of their screams as random explosions occur all over the planet, killing each and every person before the planet erupts. I'm sitting there again going, what are we, again, the darkest. The implications alone, just because he was like, yeah, that guy has a good point.
Just because it happened in the daytime doesn't mean it wasn't dark.
Could you imagine somebody it's like if you made a drawing and somebody was like, oh, that eye's a little bit bigger than the other, and you're like, you're right, just throw it out.
Yep, it's trash now. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm gonna blow up this whole planet. Fuck. Those fucking bat people didn't deserve that, bro. I love the bat dad when when Quill took his car.
And he's like,
I'm gonna get to bat work now. So boom, 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 Adam Warlock. Nebula calls Drax to bring the Bowie to save Quill and is furious to see Mantis and Drax have left the Bowie behind. Peter allows the High Evolutionary to believe he has the upper hand, then commands Groot to throw a grenade, which sends everyone into disarray. In the confusion, Groot reveals multiple firearms that he was hiding on his person.
Bro, it was so epic.
Kill them all.
Kill them all. And he just fucking, just like 19 arms come out and just like, oh, it was fucking beautiful.
And Groot, Quill's also shooting on his knees around him and stuff like that.
And there was a part where Quill dropped down to a knee and shot through his legs while still shooting like this. I was like, this is an epic gunfight right here. I fucking love it.
Yeah, and again, I have no sympathy for anybody on this team, so I don't give a damn what happens to any of them.
None.
He neutralizes the guards. Then Quill just spears the recorder out of the window. And High Evolutionary is like, okay, falling to your death. Like, that's a hell of a plan. And then Groot's like, no, I got this. Groot jumps out and he sprouts some wings and helps them on their descent. But I thought the spearing initially, again, when we were talking about the layers of darkness with that scene of Lyla being killed, similar. I thought him spearing him off the building was kind of jacked, right? Mm-hmm. Then I thought him switching positions so that when they fall, he's going to land on the recorder. I thought that was jacked. Then they land and he smashes his head against the ground, drags it across like a whole field, like sticks it on the water, and then uses his knife to pluck the memory core from the dead body. And I was like, yeah, this might be a little dark. I feel like Quill's definitely got some points that he's trying to make here. But yeah, I was surprised at how graphic the recorder's death was, being drugged through the literal mud and then having that thing cut out of the side of his head. Adam Warlock realizes his mother Aisha might be in danger, so he heads to her as fast as he can, but it's too late. He's hit by the impact of an explosion and Aisha dies as a result. Not knowing Quill and Groot escaped, Nebula, Mantis, and Drax manage to get on the evolutionary ship, and Drax breaks down a door to get them inside as they head to space. Gamora does her best to pilot the ship and get Peter and Groot, but even after hooking up the data center, Rocket's life starts to fade away. This is the part of the movie in which I start hearing Take On Me from
that fucking song.
From what was it? Deadpool 2. This is the Deadpool 2. This is the Deadpool 2 Vanessa moment. Because he's dying. He sees Lyla. And she's not alone. Flora and Teefs are there too. And they're ready to go on an adventure all together finally. Rocket tearfully apologizes for getting them killed. And this, I get a little choked up here. Because just to see Rocket cry in his own version of heaven, apologizing for getting them killed was rough. And he goes to reunite with them, but Lyla tells him it isn't his time yet. In the real world, Quill, determined to not let his best friend die, performs manual chest compressions until he comes back to life. It seems like our heroes are out of the woods until Quill learns that Nebula, Mantis, and Drax are still on board Wyndham's ship. He calls Kraglin for backup, and they get ready to retrieve their friends. Again, Rocket's fine, so now they're like, oh, we're going to go get the rest of them because they're family. That is what it is. What do you think of Rocket's near-death dream thing?
I was convinced at that point that he was about to go.
Did you want him to go?
Fuck no.
Do you think it would have been earned kind of stuff?
I think it would have, if that was his end, it would have been a fitting end, but I didn't want it.
Yeah.
I wanted him to stick around. I didn't want any of them to die.
I didn't want him to die, and in that moment, I literally felt selfish because I was like, he can go and be with his forever friends, and I'm like, no, you bring your ass back here and suffer in the real world like the rest of us. I didn't want him to go, bro. I didn't want him to go. So I'm glad he came back. On the ship, Drax, Mantis, and Nebula meet a group of child experiments. No one can get through to them, but Drax, who makes them laugh and gets them to stay away from the side of the ship, so they can blow a hole in it and escape. This is what you were talking about earlier with Nebula yelling at Mantis, and then Mantis yelling back at Nebula
Yep.
that all she does is make things negative. I like the moment where she says something along the lines of Drax is the most broken, but he's the only one that doesn't feel sorry for himself.
Yeah.
And I was like,
That was a
damn.
tough,
I
deep,
was like, damn.
heartfelt line.
Yeah.
It was well said, well placed, well timed. It
Wrong
was
person.
I just you really see the growth with these characters,
Yeah.
especially in moments like that. So you really see how far Nebula has come, because fucking 3 movies ago, she would have rather just killed everybody and moved on.
Yeah, she wouldn't even argue. There's no point in arguing.
Yeah.
You only argue when you care.
Mhm.
You know? How do you feel about this recharacterization of Drax? That's where his usefulness is, and his ability to bring lightheartedness and his ability to be a father.
It has always been there. It was just never pointed out until
Yeah.
now. And I'm glad it was pointed out, because it didn't let it was his send off wasn't him just being a dummy. It was him having a true purpose for the team.
I'm also getting an
And
I'm remembering
with
that
them pointing it out, and this being his final movie, it was a perfect way to send him off like, hey, this was him all along.
yeah. And it also speaks to something, because there's a lot of times where he's just standing there and he's just stoic, right?
Mhm.
Like that's kind of what you think of the character. But there's an instance in volume 2 where he's just sitting somewhere. He's not looking like he's sad. He's not looking like
He's just
he's whatever.
existing.
He's just sitting there, and Mantis touches him, and she starts to cry
Mhm.
because she can feel all the pain in him.
Mhm.
So, which is to say that no matter when you see him, he has that in him.
He is always in some sort of emotional torment,
You know,
because his wife and daughter were taken from him, and there's nothing he can do about it. So he's doing everything he can to not put that burden on anybody else.
he
And
was.
that, honestly, Drax to me is the absolute best MCU definition of men's mental health in the world today.
I dig it.
And I feel that way because you know it, I know it. You and I have the conversations, and you and I still won't tell each other what's going on.
Yeah.
We bottle it up. We got it. It's fine. I'm good. Appreciate you. If I need you, I'll let you know, but I'm good. And you don't
Right.
fucking say anything. And you just
Right.
let it fester and build up and build up and build up until one day you can't move.
Yeah.
And that's Drax. So he lets it out by being with his new family
Yeah.
and being a father figure, but the light-hearted father figure. He doesn't want to be the serious, stern father figure for this group. He can't, because he
Yeah.
doesn't want to lose anybody else.
I can see that.
Because I mean, you even remember in Guardians 2 when he flew up with, I think it was Mantis. He flew up in the little jetpack,
Yeah.
and he was getting on the ship, and Rocket was about to blow everything up because he had to.
Right.
What was Drax's first question and only
Where's
question?
Quill?
Where's Quill?
Yeah.
And
Where's Quill?
he didn't say it in a, oh, where's Peter? It was, where's Quill? Where the hell is Quill?
Yeah.
And he didn't want to leave unless he got everybody. And that's when Rocket shot him with the electro gun.
Quill's the first person he calls out to when he gets dusted.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah.
So it's rough. Like I said, these guys. These colors don't run. Like this has been established
Yeah.
for a decade. I believe Guardians 1 comes out in 2014. You know, so 9 years. We've lived with this family, and nothing in this feels forced. Nothing in this feels like it came out of nowhere for fan service or anything. This is the eventuality, the evolution of these characters, if you will.
The higher evolution.
The higher evolution.
But for me, Drax, after seeing this film, it all clicked together and all had a nice little bow on it. Drax is the definition of men's mental health, or mental health in general, because there are some people, men, women, non-binary, whatever you identify as, in that regard, as they bottle it up because they don't want to push their problems on anybody.
Yeah.
And Drax doesn't want to do that. He made it very clear in the beginning he wanted to kill Thanos because Thanos was behind the murder of his wife and daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Thanos was dead, or Ronan was dead. So now it was on to Thanos. Ronan was the hand, but Ronan's dead. So now it's on to Thanos because Thanos was the puppet master.
Mm-hmm.
Thanos is dead. Now what's his purpose? He is there to be the glue that holds his team together.
Yeah. And similarly, at this point where you realize what he means to the team, I kind of start to understand what this film is about, in my opinion. And I think this film is about the after effects of abuse, whether it's physical abuse, whether it's verbal abuse, whether it's mental abuse.
Yep.
One could argue that Nebula's verbally abusing Drax in this moment, but she is someone who has been physically and verbally abused herself. Hurt people.
For somebody who's been abused, what is your how do you act?
Frame of ref? Yeah, what's your frame of reference for anything, for good, love?
The only thing you know to do is to react.
Yeah.
You don't know how to adapt. You react to the situation. That's the only way you know how to operate.
Yeah, that's the only power you have.
Mm-hmm. It's survival mode all the time.
Similarly to, obviously not to the same intensity, but similarly to the High Evolutionary yelling at Rocket for being what he is, Nebula's yelling at Drax. Drax is just what he is. Now, maybe he isn't courageous. Maybe he isn't, the best soldier and all that other kind of stuff, but Mantis doesn't want him to be any of that kind of stuff. I love that Mantis says something like, only thing that matters to you is competence and something else. Like, it's just a funny line. Like, the only thing that matters to you is if people are smart. And Drax is like, I don't like this defense.
I did get a little bit sad though, because I thought Mantis and Drax were gonna like kind of end up together, because they always had that playful banter back and forth, and you always like, and he always said, I have no reason to lie to you. You are horrifying.
Yeah. I rewatched too. You remember where the planet starts to like eat itself? He lifts her above his head, willing to die, willing to drown himself.
Yeah.
Like, he's always been incredibly selfless in these films.
And I honestly, I thought they were going to end up together, especially when they were separating, which we're not there yet. But she's like, no, I got to do this on my own. And you just see like kind of the disappointment, but the pride in Drax's face. His
reaction was quite surprising, in my opinion, until, again, you do the math and it's all there. The math always checks out with this stuff because Gunn does the math. So Quill arrives for the final showdown, but so does Kraglin. And
wait. Here's the part where I cried, though.
Okay, go ahead.
So after Nebula yells at Drax and Mantis, they get on the radio with Quill, and Quill is like, yeah, no, we're fine. We got the code, all the stuff. And then Rocket just chimes in, and you just hear Nebula, wait, is that Rocket?
Yeah.
And she starts breaking down.
Yeah, she does like a like she literally like the air leaves her body.
Yeah. And that was the moment where I first teared up.
Yeah.
That was the moment for me, because it was somebody through all these movies that has had this hard exterior that has just been a brick fucking wall, just broke down, and you finally got a humanized version of her.
I'm having goosebumps right now because I'm listening. You're 100% right in this, but I'm also thinking, like, isn't it ironic that we even seen her deal with the death of her sister with gritted teeth? Like, she didn't bawl for that.
She cried.
She was emotional, but I felt like she got through it.
But you also have to think, at that point with her and her sister, yeah, they had made amends. They were defending the galaxy together at that point, but they had only been back on good terms for about a year.
Yeah, maybe even less.
Rocket and Nebula spent so much time together and got so close over those 5 years.
But I feel like it's even compounded with what you're saying. Like, there's a bit of that, but also on top of that is this idea that she did lose Gamora. She's lost everyone. Maybe Rocket is the last bit of family she has left. Maybe that reaction is a reaction from somebody whose life sucked so much that she kind of just probably expected him to go too, in all of this, in the middle of all of this.
But if you also think about it, if Gamora came back, like the real Gamora came back and was like, yeah I survived the fall, she'd lose her fucking mind.
100%.
So this was more of a celebration of life. If Rocket died, we would have seen the exact same reaction that we got for Gamora.
Yeah.
She handles death in a very stoic manner, but near death is what breaks her.
And I wonder if that is almost a side effect of having so much negativity in your life. Like there was a spark of, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't lose
So
this. I didn't lose this. This is the one thing that didn't go bad. It didn't suck. That didn't betray. That didn't, like he's alive finally. Like it's like a win when you finally get like a semblance of a win.
I will I will bring a couple of points to this.
Sure.
For me, and you've been in the military, you've seen it too,
Hmm.
seeing all the people die that
Right.
people we've known and gotten close with, they're just numbers to the system, but to us, they
Hmm.
were people.
100%.
After that, it's all numbers at that point.
Yeah.
And we don't want it. We try our best. But when my grandparents both died, I was very stoic at the funeral.
Yeah.
I was very reserved. And
You
when
gain
I
a
got the
different
call,
relationship with death.
yeah, we have a very different relationship. I had a very different reaction when I got the call that my grandmother passed
Hmm.
and when my grandfather passed. But when we were at the funeral saying goodbye, I had my moments, but overall it was very
Reserved.
reserved and calm and just a smooth demeanor.
Matter of
And I'm not
fact.
saying that because I'm an emotionalist bastard. I mean, you know me, you've known me for a couple of years now. I do put on a very tough exterior.
Yeah.
Um, but it's also flip it to The Office.
Hmm.
When Kevin sat there for that talking head, it's just nice to win one.
100%.
Like you see his emotion, he is not the real Kevin that we know.
Right.
He's genuinely happy and he doesn't know how to project it because he's always been the office clown, the goofball, the dum dum. And that's what he's known for. But now it's, you know what? I got to win. That was really good.
I have a question. Do you think in that moment she realized how much Rocket meant? Or do you
I
think
think she
she always
did.
knew?
I think if she lost him, we would have gotten that similar Gamora death reaction.
Yeah.
But when she realized that, oh my God, he was almost gone, but he's still here, everything flashed in her brain to what they've built over the last several years. And she was like, oh my God, I almost lost that.
I guess you could also probably argue that her intensity and her anger towards Drax is the idea that if any of this mission goes wrong, Rocket dies.
Mhm.
So
That could
in
also,
this
yeah, absolutely.
so in this instance, when being told that Rocket is alive is like, I was getting way, like I got way in my head about this. Like I was getting ready to fight other Guardians because this is getting so dicey.
Right.
Um, so yeah, absolutely brilliant moment. Like I said, Quill arrives. So does Kraglin, piloting the entire nowhere. There's just a celestial skull. Like that's the most metal thing of all time.
Like for real, dude. I was ready for them to show up blaring pirate metal at this point.
Yeah, right. A
Like,
shanty,
holy shit. Like,
space
honestly,
shanties.
dude, like, honestly, if they came through that fucking that fucking jump
Yeah.
and they were blaring, I don't know if you've ever listened to, I don't know if you listen to metal at all, but if you ever
Mm.
look up a band called Ailstorm, not Hailstorm, Ailstorm,
Aeostorm. That's pirate.
Alestorm,
Hmm.
they are pirate metal. They have a song called Captain Morgan's Revenge and a song
I'll check
called
that out.
Drink. Literally, either one of those songs would have been perfect for that moment. Just the fucking intro guitars coming in. And
Yeah.
oh, it was fucking in my head, it was epic.
And it's an epic entrance for the Ravagers. Like they're another kind of character and team that's been throughout all of this for the most
Yeah.
part, especially Kraglin. And he gets this kind of cool moment, and with them being space pirates, and then like the whole gun thing being like over the eye and all that kind of
Which
stuff. I was
I'm a little disappointed they only had one shot with that thing.
like,
Like, come on,
right,
you
you got to
got a
make it
whole
impressive.
fucking head.
You
You
got to make
got
it impressive.
room.
Yeah, you definitely got to make it impressive. And you're right. They take that one shot. They shoot a massive hole in the side of Wyndham's ship. Cosmo uses her telepathy to connect the ship with Nowhere so that the children can break out of that hole. As this unfolds, the high evolutionary starts acting more erratic, right? He's flipping the hell out now. Kill them all, kill them.
Like
send
all
the
his
house
command
spawn.
team is like, we need to get the fuck out of here or we're gone. And he
How did
was
you feel
like,
about the mutiny? How did you feel about the mutiny
oh,
that
I
basically
loved
happens?
it. I
Yeah?
loved it, bro. It was
Is that
perfect.
Is that another narrative shorthand to show how off the rails he's gotten?
Yes. Because he is literally focusing on this one piece of the
It's not even the mission
instead
anymore.
Instead of the big picture.
Yeah. It's not even the mission
you
anymore.
really think you cannot create the perfect society without this, you have already failed your entire goal.
And who are we following? Right? Who are we following that is willing to blow up, kill, all that kind of stuff for this one raccoon? Everything that we've built, everything that we've done.
You see that one person's face. You see it. She was debating so hard. She's like,
the whole time.
I know if I go against him right now, I'm a fucking die.
Oh, let me say the line, because she says something about God, and he goes, "There is no God. That's why I stepped in." And I was like,
right,
that's a cold line, bro. I was like,
cold as ice, bro.
I'll give you that. I was like, I'll give you that. That was
cold as ice.
That was a cold, and that's when she goes like, he has one more time to yell at me in my face like that. That's what she said. He got one more time to yell at me in my face like that.
I don't think you heard me.
So. He's so obsessed and with capturing Rocket that his subordinates start to betray him for taking things too far, so he kills them all in a fit of rage. He releases his Hellspawn army of grotesque killer experiments who attack the ship and invade nowhere. Kragan gets advice from Force Ghost Yondu, who I would love seeing Michael Rooker get a check. I was like, cut that check for that man. Yondu's also now been in all of them. He's been in all 3 Guardians and the holiday special. Michael Rooker.
I was so happy to see Yondu again.
Yeah.
I was so happy. It was for like 18 seconds. And it was just
real quick. And like I said, it's like a Force Ghost. And they didn't have to make a big deal about it either. I dug it. It's Yondu who tells him to use his heart to wield the arrow, and it works. He's almost taken out before he has his life saved by Cosmo, who he eventually calls a good dog. Yes. Mantis, Nebula, and Drax are found and thrown into a pit with 3 monstrous obelisks, which is the creature from Volume 2 that like shoots rainbows or whatever. But as you know, they don't eat humans. They only eat either Amulax or Harbillary batteries, depending on
Harbillary batteries.
Depending on who. Such a dumb joke and just blatantly getting it wrong. It's such a
I loved it so much.
My favorite Drax joke is "Get out of the way, dumber, smaller Groot." That's my favorite Drax line.
Oh man.
Mantis befriends and tames the beasts and uses them to reunite with the rest of the Guardians. It's a pretty cool moment because the Guardians land like, "All right, guys, we gotta save Mantis, Drax, and Nebula," and then boom, you see them riding these big ass monsters. And Cool's like, "All right, I guess we're leaving." And like that, like when they had that conversation, I'm like, it makes sense. You guys came here to get them, and they're no one needs saving, so they consider getting away.
And then let's talk about like they're getting ready to leave, and then they talk about they got to go save all the people.
And I feel like the two or 3 people who were protesting the most were Mantis, Nebula, and Rocket.
Yeah.
They're like, we can't leave these people behind.
Yeah, we can't. And then Rocket was like, you know what? I'm tired of running.
Yeah.
I'm not running anymore. And he just fucking left. And I was like, fuck yeah, dude, let's go.
Yep. And then you get no sleep till man.
Epic.
And they all walk in stride together in slow motion with fire behind them. There's a moment where Gamora's like, man, fuck all this. And she's about to leave. And then she's like, nah. And she turns around and she walks with them. And I'm like, yep, you already know. And there's moments in this series. There's without a doubt in my mind, she was transformed watching Quill refuse to give up on Rocket on that hospital bed. The lengths that he would go for that. No one's ever cared about her that much. No one.
That and then going through his bag.
Oh yeah. And finding the family picture and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she realizes that he may not be her long lost love, but he's a good guy. And this is a good group of people that care and love each other. And she knows Nebula. So that helps too. But we get this badass 2-minute action scene set to No Sleep Till Brooklyn, where we see our Guardians of the Galaxy fighting what I feel like is the first time as a team. Like they make quick work of these these guys. Watching that almost one shot, right, where they're all working off each other, they're doing combinations with each other. Groot is sticking his branch down people's throats and beheading them, and Rocket's climbing on Groot's long ass arm.
It was a very good
shots.
continuous shot. Very, very Avengers style.
I don't know if we've ever seen them work that efficiently together.
I don't think we have either.
And even when Drax opens the door and they're all on the other side, I'm like, damn, that's a lot of people. I'm like, I don't know how this is gonna work. And no, they mowed right through them.
Full send.
They mowed right through them. It was so gratifying because they're all monstrous, grotesque, monstrous beings. So they take down the enemy army, and Rocket goes back to where they kept Batch 89. And is heartbroken to see many animals still in cages, ready to be ripped apart and put back together. He sees the first cage he remembers being in as a child and opens it to see a bunch of baby raccoons.
They were so cute.
This is my tear up moment. This moment right here, because, and I'm going to try to do my best to explain why I teared up, even though I kind of can't. There was something about how they came to him in curiosity, in innocent curiosity. It's been such a long time since Rocket's been around innocence. He had it ripped from him from the moment they took him out of that cage. He's had innocence ripped from him, and in this moment, they don't see him as a monster or a fly, like a spaceship pilot or a Ravager or a Guardian. He's just one of them, and they surround him without hesitation. For the first time, he is almost unconditionally loved.
Yeah.
They just come around, and something about that, I was like, and he even tears up, and he's covered in baby raccoons. It's like my man Rocket covered in baby raccoons with a tear in his eye. I was gone, bro. I was gone, bro. He realized, and I feel like he looks around, he's like, it's going to be a hell of a thing to get all these. There's so many damn animals in here. Like, he looks around like, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to have to do it. And just when that happens, suddenly, Palpatine returns. But no, suddenly, somehow, Wyndham shows back up and calls Rocket P-13. Calls him an abomination. Uses his powers to stick him to the ceiling. But Rocket uses his gravity boots to escape Wyndham's grasp and corrects him by introducing himself as Rocket Raccoon.
Which is the first time he's used his full name in these movies.
Also, he never knew what a raccoon was. Yeah. Everyone kept calling him a raccoon. He didn't know what a raccoon was until he saw the word raccoon written as the species on his cage right before Wyndham shows up. He owns it. He owns being one of these creatures, again, that came to him because he is one of them. It's just it's all very beautiful. Bit of me wanted now in hindsight would have liked them to save the F-bomb for here. I'm Rocket fucking Raccoon.
Oh god, that was excellent.
I'm fucking Rocket Raccoon. But I think they could have even given us a Flurkin. I would have taken a Flurkin.
I'd have taken a Flurkin, yeah.
I'm Rocket Flurkin Raccoon, but I think maybe dumb people would think that that's like a middle name or something like that. They'd have to put that on the Funko Pops. It's a whole thing. Then he just blasts him. And then in a very fun sequence, they all just show up and whoop his ass. No, the Guardians just show up and take turns whooping his ass. And you care not for him because he is a miserable piece of crap.
Piece of shit. And then Gamora just outright rips his face off because a bit of it's dangling off the side. And she's like, I want this. And she just rips his face off in the last bit of body horror, right? And that was horrifying as well. That's not something you show your kid.
Six-year-old.
I'm not taking my 7-year-old niece to go see that, but I will take my 18-year-old daughter. We've seen I took her to see Renfield.
Oh, okay. And I heard that's a bloodbath.
Yes. So, and we walked out. I was like, "So what'd you think?" And she was like, "Meh."
Were you surprised by this level of gore and this showing his face the way they did it?
No. No, I kind of half expected it. I wasn't surprised, but if we didn't see it, I wouldn't have been surprised either. I don't want to say I expected it, but I also didn't not expect it.
It wasn't out of the realm of possibility.
Right. Yeah.
I
I,
got
I
you.
was I figured they were gonna pull out a lot of stops in this movie.
What do you think about the idea that he was wearing a mask over that?
Um I had once so as we see the flashbacks, we see him go from a regular looking person, and then we
Hmm.
see in the next flashback we see little bits of mechanics attached to him, and then the
Yeah,
next one there's even more, and then finally we get the final form where he's bald, his face, like around it there is the robotics. So he's trying to perfect himself along with everybody else too.
yeah.
I I imagined at one point they took his entire skin off to update his insides.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also think there's a bit of meta commentary here, right? This idea that he looks all pristine and looks all, well to do, but underneath he's a monster. Underneath
Yeah.
he's ugly and a monster. Um, but possibly the coolest little callback is it's not a trap. What is it?
It's a face off.
It's a face off, and he got his
Good
mother.
reference, by the way, to the Nick
Yeah,
Cage John Travolta movie.
yeah, and he got his face off.
Literally ripped off.
They took my man's face off. Um, Rocket chooses not to kill him. Says he's a guardian now. How do you feel about that? And are you excited for a potential high evolutionary return?
He's not coming back. Didn't he blow up in the ship?
I feel like you're an evolutionary. You've got some other tips or tricks in your little
Nah,
super suit.
he's toast.
So you think that was a I don't gotta kill you, but I don't gotta save you moment?
Pretty much.
I feel like him saying I don't gotta kill you is supposed to let us believe that he's gonna be somewhere.
I don't have to kill you, but I don't have to fucking help you.
I definitely don't gotta look at that face. You feel me? So we out.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
They well, go ahead.
no, you're good.
No, they rescue every living being they can before Cosmos loses the strength to continue her telepathic hold on the ship. Peter's the last one to try to make it over, but ends up going back for his Zune with no helmet. He does his best to make the jump, but ends up floating in the space between and starts to succumb to the harshness of space. Groot tries to save him, but his branches turn to ice. The Guardians watch as their leader literally dies before their eyes, only to be saved by Adam Warlock, and they recreate the creation of Adam painting with the fingertips. They touch tips.
I thought this was it for Peter.
I thought it could have been, but I thought I would have been upset if it was, because it felt like a lame death for the caliber of character that he was.
Well, the way I thought of it was is if this was going to be it for him, he did go out grabbing the one thing he has always gone back for, and that is the music from his mom.
Right.
So if he died doing that, I fully understand it. I get it. And I would have respected it. I would have been sad as fuck.
Yeah.
But,
I think now's the time to bring up this idea that James Gunn has had some issues with how his characters have been held or dealt with in movies that he did not direct. So according to James Gunn, the helmet from Star-Lord was destroyed in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
I thought he had it back in
He did. That wasn't Gunn's choice.
in Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah. Those were the Russo brothers.
Oh,
So the Russo brothers brought the helmet back. He didn't want the helmet brought back. So the helmet does not make an appearance in this at all.
no shit.
And when asked recently, like maybe 4 days ago, where it's at, he goes, "I don't know. It's on nowhere," or he left it on the or he left it on the thing. But yeah, it's basically just that. It's basically just the
I was wondering why I didn't see it.
oh, the helmet, right? It's
Yeah.
very trademark. That's another thing. Is like, this guy's gonna die because he didn't have the balls. Oh, he didn't remember to bring his most iconic piece of tech with him. Like, what a death!
Yeah.
Like that would, that's like Cap being shot. The one guy, the guy with the shield, got shot. It's like, what the- so Blah, blah, blah. The Guardian, we did that. Badly damaged. Peter asks if it looked cool.
Which that's in true Star-Lord fashion.
Yeah. Which also goes to like, is he cool? Mary Poppins. It goes to Groot. Crashing the ship. Did that look cool? They really
But
care about
like
looking
his
cool.
face did this weird thing that it didn't do in Guardians 1.
Which I thought was supposed to be the visual sign that he's dead.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah. His face gets incredibly bloated. What I thought was funny was with his face bloated and like the icicles in his hair, he kind of looked like Kurt Russell. Not saying Kurt's bloated. I'm just saying. I think. Kurt, please don't come after me, Mister Snake Plissken. I don't.
Snake Plissken's gonna come cancel us.
Please don't. But badly damaged. Peter, yeah, asks if it looked cool. They all share a group hug. Even Adam Warlock gets in on the group hug. I love that because he's like, I'm not a part of this, but I'll
join.
I'll be around. Later, Gamora has a conversation with Groot, and one of the longest running gags in this is that she couldn't understand him. Everyone else seemingly could, which I have a question that we're going to get to in a bit about a certain interpretation of a scene. But earned moment, right?
I think so.
Where like Groot realizes that she understands, he gives her a look like, see, like you get it. Like you were fighting it this whole time. Like there's no point.
You get it.
Yeah. So she says goodbye to Peter and he's able to finally let her go be with the Ravagers. I love that she was like, were we fun? And he's like you wouldn't believe.
God, that was such a good moment.
So mature.
Very
heartbreakingly mature. A level of maturity I probably wouldn't have had in the moment, but he was able to stand his ground.
No, dude.
Yeah, he was able to stand his ground and let her go.
Good for him.
And let that be a case for everyone out there who's listening to this podcast. Let them go. If they want to go, if they're pushing you in your spaceship because they want to go, let them go. You can't hold on. You can't make people love you. You can't make people stay with you. If they're meant to be, they'll be around. And if they're not, maybe they'll just hang out with some Ravagers.
What is meant to be will be.
My boy. The rest of the Guardians meet up, and Quill confesses that he's ready to go back to Earth. He's ready to find out if he can sink or swim. He makes Rocket the captain. Nebula names herself Sheriff of Nowhere and asks Drax to stay with her and mind the children, stating he was always meant to be a dad. He wasn't born to be a destroyer.
Love that.
Yeah?
Loved that.
I like the Mantis is also like, yo, not for nothing, but like I always did what Ego wanted me to do, and then I did what the Guardians wanted me to do. So I think I'm gonna go do me all by myself alone. And Drax is like, can I come with you? She's like, no, that's the whole point. She goes, you're so frustrating.
Like, he was so sad for a minute, but he was also like, I'm really proud of you standing your ground. Like, go and live your life.
That's why it was funny that she said you're so frustrating because she's the one that's always defending him, and now he's finally got almost her nerves. He's like, you're so frustrating. Yeah, she wants to have agency over her own life. So our final scene of this film is Rocket as a new captain, playing a song through the speakers of Nowhere of Florence and the Machines, The Dog Days Are Over. Mm-hmm. It causes Groot to start dancing. An impromptu dance-off happens in the town square as Drax tearfully says goodbye to Mantis. Yep. She rides her obelisks out. And then Drax, the self-proclaimed not dancer, surrounded by children.
He himself becomes an idiot.
Yeah, he becomes an idiot. Yeah, and he starts dancing and laughing with the children.
Oh, it was so excellent.
I'm doing it again. I'm getting goosebumps again. There's an overall feeling here of just love, just positive energy. They didn't win. They didn't win scot-free. They didn't go somehow, even without the multiple deaths that we all predicted would happen in this film. I still feel like a cost was paid in this. I don't feel like how did you feel about that? The fact that no one died in this, I guess, is what I want to say.
It was different because usually we get a death to mark the end of an era. We didn't get that here. They all lived and they went their separate ways to live their lives.
Right.
And it's not something that we normally get. We usually get a big death that shocks everything to the core, and that's what causes the rift and the tension, and then they break up on bad terms. This was an amicable breakup.
Yeah. You're right. In a other film, we wouldn't get our guardians because they would want to be guardians, but they would either be killed or separated or whatever. This is them all making an adult decision. So we are losing our guardians in a way, but we're not sad because it's their choice. And
Right.
in Gunn's world, because this is Gunn's world, he gave them that at the end of the day. At the very least, the endings of these characters are going to be of their own, written by
Correct.
them, by themselves. And
Correct.
I mean, how could you beat that? What's your favorite moment of the dance off?
During the song, and it's not necessarily my favorite, but it is a moment that just got me thinking.
Hmm.
And it's my childish brain at work as always. When we see Gamora reunited with the Ravagers,
Yeah.
I'm putting 10-1 odds that Sylvester Stallone hit.
Yeah. If anyone calling dibs, it's
You know what I'm saying? Rocky's getting it.
I'm gonna say here also, man. We might have to get that man a translator because when he was doing his scene, he was a
Fucking
mush
rough,
mouth.
dog.
He was a bit mud mouth. He's like, you're going to Ogle Corp, and when you get to Ogle Corp, you got to work with Ogle Corp. I was like, what's going? What?
But what was the one's name that has the powers of the mystic arts?
I don't know his name, but he's on the Ravagers. I know what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
And it was nice to see the portals and
Yeah.
actually see him put the powers to use in
was
the
like,
movie.
Portals. And also with him on the team, you can see how they're great space pirates. Portals just open up on your ship and then you get overrun and it's a wrap. And it's done.
I was a little earlier in the movie when they first showed up. I was a little like taken back by the fact that Sylvester Stallone's character, after ending Guardians 2 on good terms with Quill, came back and was basically a dick.
Yeah. That felt a little weird. That team is the OG Guardians of the Galaxy, so it's also weird that they're Ravagers. You know, that's also another weird thing. But I did feel a level of hostility, and I'm like, I thought you guys were all good, but I guess
y'all were.
But I guess they never really like spoke, right?
That's
like
true.
They've never had a conversation
ever since Yondu's funeral, I guess.
Yeah, and prior to that, they didn't have many conversations. It was mostly Yondu talking to that guy.
Yeah.
So it could just be a lack of familiarity. My favorite part of the dance off is when they start just yelling, howling. Like Kraglin just howls and Nebula just yells at the top of her lungs, and Rocket howls. It's his most animalistic outburst ever. And that's because he was born an animal. He can finally be whatever the hell he was meant to be born to be.
Yep.
Gosh, this thing is so good. So
probably gonna go see it again, to be honest with you.
Getting everybody all riled up. Let's go see it right now. Screw it. In a mid-credit scene, the new Guardians, consisting of Rocket, a fully grown Groot, Cosmo, Kraglin, Adam, and Phyla, one of the rescued children, and Adam's pet Blurp, take on a new mission. What do you think of this new team?
I'm excited to see a different team. I don't know if we're actually going to see them or if they'll just be cameos in movies, especially since James Gunn is gone from Marvel. Does that mean Sean Gunn's going to be gone?
That's interesting. Yeah, he might be. He's going to get a lot of work on the other side. He plays Weasel. I think Weasel's coming back somehow.
He plays Weasel, but he also does the body for Rocket, and he plays Kraglin.
So he did the voice for sides. I want to say he did the voice for Young Rocket as well, or something. But yeah, like I said, James Gunn supposedly not coming back to Marvel. What a way to leave! Like, what a way to be like.
Honestly, he left his mark.
Yeah. Prior to this, a lot of people were making a lot of jokes that he was going to ruin the DC with jokes, stuff like that. And I was like, you guys don't get what he does. Yes, he tells jokes, but there's always heart there. There's always heart in his stuff. And this was just another example of that. So I was very proud to leave because I was like, yeah, the DC universe is going to be in good hands, man. Like, look at, you have basically, like you just said, like a whole planet that's like shaped like a butthole. Like a whole butthole planet. and then you're crying for an otter. Like that's the juxtaposition that James Gunn's able to give us, and I absolutely loved it.
And that was the first post credit scene, right?
Yeah, the second one is
and the second one
was Quill eating breakfast with his grandfather Jason, talking about mowing lawns.
Yeah, that was like the most like
mundane
conversation ever. But what I want to talk about is what happened right after that. The legendary Star-Lord will return.
Right. To me, that feels like a red herring. To me, I don't know why. I guess it's because no, I don't know why. I don't know why.
I feel like that they don't do that unless they're actually coming back.
I agree, but then it would have just been Star-Lord will return. I feel like the legendary Star-Lord is being said
now he's off solo again.
But what if a Star-Lord returns? Any star, because he's on that planet. You know, I feel like there's a
maybe he's going to be one of the Avengers now. That'd
be great. Did he bring any of his tech with him?
Probably.
Gotta hope so. Gamora's still out there with the Ravager. She might show up in Marvels. You know what I'm saying? These people are out and about in the world. It'll be really cool to see if any of them pop back up. And again, I feel like there's going to be some sort of weird tie. Like the Evolutionary has to have met Kang at some point.
Oh, had to.
I feel like they swapped notes on a couple of things, and then like, I'm going to take some of that man's purple. I'm like, all right, it is what it is. Do you have anything else to say about Guardians? I felt like we had a amazing discussion about this film.
Fuck yeah, dude. 2 hours of conversation about this movie, and I still think we could do more.
Yeah. How about Thursday?
I think Thursday would be a good place to do it.
If you're listening to this podcast the week of May the 9th, then on the 11th on Facebook via on Kick.
On kick.com/theballpit1.
We will continue this conversation with 2 other very valued guests. Continue our conversation about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So yeah, I'll reserve any of my additional feelings for that. Give you guys something.
You will get some of our same opinions and feelings and thoughts that we gave tonight, but you're also going to get 2 other people's perspectives.
And one of them may not have a heart. So we're going to see how that how the film fares for them, but I'm super excited to do so. This is episode 281 of the Major Issues Podcast.
Holy shit, 281!
281, but it's another good one going in the books. The books being ComicBookClique.com, which is where every single episode of the Major Issues Podcast is found. The easiest way to find the Major Issues Podcast is to Google it. Google Major Issues Podcast, and we're the first 18 results or something. I'm very proud of that. So go ahead and do that. But go to comicbookclique.com because it's where all of our articles are. It's where our merchandise is via TeePublic. It can take you to our patreon.com/CBC Clubhouse, where you can become a Patreon for as low as $3 a month, 10 cents a day. It helps us keep our lights on here and afford the hardware and the software that we need to help produce more content free of charge for you guys. So thank you for those who have been supporting. It's cool to get that little kickback and put it towards some bigger projects that we're hoping to do here. We're looking at a video essay series. We're looking at revamping the website. There's a couple of other cool things that we're looking into. So the more motivation you guys give us, the better we are as a team. So continue doing what you do. Tell a friend to tell a friend about the podcast, word of mouth. Hopefully we'll be doing some more of these kicks, so you'll be seeing me definitely every week on the Department of the Nerd. So, pick my brain, pick these smart gentlemen's brains. Hit us up at facebook.com/comicbookclique, Instagram at comicbookclique, or you can use the hashtag comicbookclique to talk about the newest, hottest, latest, and greatest things to come to comic books and comic book media. And if I tell you how we do it, I've been to the future, where we do become the latest and greatest thing to come to comic book media. But I can't tell you how we do it because it'll mess up the timeline. And could you imagine a timeline where Dwayne Johnson was Groot? Doesn't work, bro. No, doesn't work. Oh,
I'd just be even more mad at him for fucking up one of my favorites.
Here's a question I have that I completely forgot about that I told you I was going to ask you. Did he really say that, or did we hear that? Oh,
I know what you're talking about too.
Yeah. We'll talk about it more on the Department of Nerds.
Oh, God
but
damn it, George.
I think if you're with the other answer, it's even more heartfelt because now we are Groot.
You know what? I would like to live in ignorance and think we heard it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we now speak Groot.
I think it's the same way too. I think we are Groot now, and that's what we heard. But everybody else on the outside would have heard I am Groot.
Oh.
And I think you can even extrapolate that none of them were like, no one stood up and was like, what? You said something different than the word you've been saying for 5 years.
Batted an eye at it. Yeah, I think we just heard it.
Welcome to the Guardians, guys. Welcome to the Guardians.
Guardians of the freaking galaxy.
Yep. But tell the people where they can find you, Dave.
You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and kick.com. Type in the username on any of those sites, the Ball Pit 1. No dashes, no spaces, no underscores, or anything else. The Ball Pit 1. Spelled exactly how it sounds. You can find me on TikTok posting clips from Kick. You can find me on Instagram posting pictures and clips from Kick. You can find me on Twitter posting tweets about stuff I don't know anything about because I'm new to Twitter. Even though I made an account a long time ago and never used it, I still don't understand how it all fucking works. I just know hashtags are a thing and I don't know how to use them. But the main place that I want you to come to watch us every week on Wednesdays, but this week it's Thursday, is kick.com/theballpit1. That is kick.com/theballpit1. We will be streaming the Department of Nerds podcast. And in addition to that, I am now gaming on this channel.
Yep.
So please, if you like Call of Duty, if you like God of War, if you like Ghost Recon or any other games that I may play, I have a PlayStation Plus pass. So if you want me to pick a game, I will play it. Come join me. Give me a follow. It's free on every platform. You don't have to pay a dime unless you choose to. I'm there at least once a week, having a great time.
Yeah, Dave is a Renaissance man. He is spinning many plates, but most of them are being spun at kick.com/theballpit1.
That is correct.
At the Ball Pit 1.
I was able to get all my usernames as one across the socials,
which is incredibly difficult. We don't even have that.
So difficult, bro.
We don't even have that, bro.
I noticed that when I was setting up your image on the stream for tonight.
We tried.
I see you tried.
Yeah.
But no, I literally was going through and making all of my socials, and I was like, oh man. So then I started, okay, well, I've used this before. Let's see if this works. Got it across the board.
Awesome stuff.
So come check me out, the Ball Pit 1, anywhere you can find me. If you go on Google and type in the Ball Pit 1, I'm there.
Awesome stuff. Hey man, we got search engine optimization on our side. So come watch us eat onions over at
do Jaeger bombs.
The Ball Pit, make horrible mistakes.
Oh my god.
And rank some of your favorite historical figures. But
we're not talking about Anne Frank today.
But my name is George Serrano, aka the Don.
I am Dave, aka the Ball Pit.
And this is our Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 recap and review. And remember, whether you're a Guardian, a Terran, a Ravager, or one of the Sovereign, a human, an animal, a tree, or look like a carrot, oddly enough, remember that we are the Clique, and always remember that you, yes, you, are worthy.